It's great to be in the SEC in week 3. Welcome back to the SEC Recap Podcast. I am your host, Ben Warren. Saturday, September 13th, we've got a jam-packed slate. We are going to look at 5 marquee matchups featuring SEC teams today, breaking down the key storylines, the stats, players to watch. And of course, we're going to take a look at our PRecap Matchup Predictor outlook for each game. So it's Wednesday morning for me, but whatever time you're listening to this, however you're listening to this or watching this, grab your favorite beverage, however you prefer to chug your podcasts. If you're watching us here on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Usually do 2 episodes a week. Like a preview episode such as we're doing today, and then a recap episode Sunday or Monday. If you're watching on Spotify, make sure you follow us there and head on over to Twitter or X at SEC Recap and give me a follow there as well at SEC Recap on Twitter. But as always, I appreciate you all being here with me on YouTube. YouTube has been very good to me so far. So appreciate you guys. We've got a lot to get into, man. So I'm not going to waste any more time with accolades. We're going to jump right into the matchups. We are starting with the big one. It's the big one for me. I know it's the big one for a lot of folks out there. Top 15 matchup. 3:30 afternoon kick in Knoxville. That's right. It is number 6 Georgia at number 15 Tennessee. And this is a huge early season test in the SEC. You got undefeated Georgia. Yes, it's only 3 weeks in. We're still using the term undefeated, right? Undefeated Georgia facing undefeated Tennessee in front of 100,000 plus violently screaming fans in Knoxville. I know they're going to be ramped up for that one. I would be. And my PRecap predictor sees this as a tight one. By the way, I see a few of you guys tuning in here with us on YouTube. Appreciate you being here with me on this early Wednesday morning. Grab your coffee. We got a lot to go over. Vegas has this one. Now, this one opened at like 7.5. My model, as you can see here on screen, has this one flipped from what Vegas thinks. Of course, what Vegas is giving you is a betting spread. My model does not give you a betting spread. This is just what my model thinks is going to happen. And by the way, since I got a few of you watching, if you've not watched any of my episodes where I cover my predictor model, basically what it's trying to do is any game it predicts with 70+% accuracy, it is correct 70% of the time. So we're just trying to be correct 70% of the time. And that's what this one sees here with Tennessee, Georgia. It's given Tennessee a better than 70% chance to win. So we have a 70% chance of hitting with this one. And it thinks Tennessee wins this by maybe a couple field goals, touchdown, essentially a close game. I think all the betting markets agree. That line from Vegas has shrunk to -3.5. But the Bulldogs have an 8-game winning streak over Tennessee dating back to like 2017 or 2016. This is an era of dominance where Georgia's average margin of victory is like damn near 25 points. But, dude, this is in Knoxville, right? This is a volunteer squad and an atmosphere that can make things very different. Tennessee hasn't beaten Georgia in 8 years, and you better believe this is giving me like 2022 Alabama vibes, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen the exact same way. Not saying it's going to be like a 52-49 game or anything like that. If anything, I think both teams might end up under 30 in this game. But like Georgia's navigating some early season growing pains on an offense, with a new quarterback. You have like a couple starting O-linemen may be questionable. Of course, like everybody's questionable right now, especially if you play on the line. On the Tennessee side, big concern is that secondary. Ricky Gibson and Jermod McCoy both out for the game. Don't really have return dates. Some people thought Jermod McCoy might be back for this game. Obviously, that's not happening. So this leaves the Vols pass defense in the hands of some younger players like Colton Hood and Ty Redmond, the freshman, who are going to be thrown into the fire against Georgia's receivers. Make no doubt about it. I think Tennessee defensively is going to try to say, Gunnar Stockton, you beat us through the air. And I think Georgia will try to do that. And they've had a lot of success, especially with the tight ends over the middle of the field the last several outings. So Tennessee's got some explosiveness, right? They've got some explosiveness. It's going to be that explosiveness versus Georgia's elite defense, which is, in my opinion, a strength on strength. It's that up-tempo offense. They've been scorching so far this year, averaging like 600 yards a game. Joey Aguilar looks very, very comfortable through 2 weeks in that offense. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, right? He's getting the ball to Chris Brazzell, who's coming on. Mike Matthews is coming on strong, Braylon Staley, but they just don't have a lot of play in these types of games, right? In these top 15 type games. The running backs for Tennessee look great. Star Thomas kind of like coming out in front there, but Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis, they are no slouches, right? I think Tennessee's going to try to leverage that pace and that big play ability to try to challenge a Georgia secondary that really hasn't been tested deep. Keep an eye on Zachariah Branch. I know everybody's going to be talking about him. If he gets the ball with grass in front of him, it's going to be dangerous, right? It's going to be very, very dangerous. With Tennessee's top corners out, especially, like he could be an absolute nightmare for Tennessee in space. You have Gunnar Stockton making a first career road start in one of the biggest venues, loudest venues in the SEC. Don't care what anybody says. Everybody thinks their stadium's the loudest. Dude, I've been in Neyland Stadium when it's loud. It is freaking loud, dude. It's a full bowl, okay? That sound don't go anywhere. But Stockton's been really efficient. I mean, they've had some growing pains on offense, but he's been really efficient. Like a 69% completion rate. Nice. But the offense as a whole has been a little bit conservative. I think Georgia's going to want to pound the rock like they always do. Like I like Nate Frazier behind that offensive line. Tennessee's defensive front, very, very good. That's a good run defense. Not quite as stout as they were last year or the year before, but still very, very good. Tennessee is always going to be kind of a penalized team, especially on offense, the way their receivers block up field. Georgia is very, very disciplined. They do not get a lot of penalties. We'll see how the crowd affects particularly Georgia's offense and maybe creating some pre-snap penalties, false starts, delay of game, things like that. Again, see quite a few folks tuning in live here, so appreciate you being with us here on the SEC recap on a Wednesday morning for our preview episode. We got a lot more games to get through. This is just the first one, guys, so stay tuned. We're going to get to all the marquee matchups. While you're here, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Appreciate that. And follow me on Twitter at SEC Recap. So it is only September, but this game could loom large in the SEC and the college football playoff picture. A Georgia win on the road, I think Georgia's a front runner for the national title. In this type of environment, this early in the season on the road, on the flip side, a Tennessee upset. I know it's at home, but Vegas has Tennessee as a home dog in this game, right? That would catapult the Vols into the national conversation. Tennessee would instantly be a top 10 team and a college football playoff favorite. I think you would see everybody CFP or early brackets flip on that one. But Georgia's experience in big games, 2 national titles in recent years, versus Tennessee's home field advantage and fast start is a fascinating contrast. Ultimately, you see it here on screen. This is what our pre-cap projection leans toward, and that's the Vols at home. It really likes home teams. It predicts for the home team, but a close game. I mean, guys, the margin of error here point-wise in this type of model is like 7.5 points. So Georgia could easily cover this. Georgia could easily win by a field goal. I see a lot of projections for Georgia by a field goal, and that's what Vegas has. So I'm sticking with the model. I'm going to go with what the model thinks. I think something like maybe Tennessee 27, Georgia 24. But the Dogs could easily get out of Knoxville by a field goal. Folks, this is about really, despite what these numbers say, this is as close to a coin flip for me as it's going to get, which means it should be an awesome day and an awesome atmosphere on Rocky Top. Between the Hedges has belonged to Georgia, but between the Neyland sidelines, I think Tennessee's going to make them earn every inch of this one. This is what SEC football is all about. All right, if you tuned in late for that one, go back and watch it when we post, when this episode posts. We're going to move on to another top 20 matchup. We got A&M going to South Bend to face Notre Dame. So how often do you get an SEC team traveling to South Bend? It's always awesome when it happens. This is a rare but super cool non-con battle between two ranked teams, and Texas A&M really coming on. Could be a playoff elimination game in September for the Notre Dame for Notre Dame, excuse me. After let's see, they lost to Miami in week 1. I mean, it was a close game. Miami's a really good team, but with 2 losses, you don't like Notre Dame's chances to be in. So Texas A&M with a real opportunity to kind of take Notre Dame out of the equation here. But according to our predictor, it is at home for the Irish. My model likes Notre Dame by about a field goal, maybe a little better. Again, margin of error here is roughly a touchdown. So Texas A&M could easily cover this. Texas A&M can easily win this game, okay? And that's not me copping out and just being wishy-washy. I'm just trying to explain, like, the model that you see on screen is not like a hard predictor. We're operating in like a 70% chance of the outcome that you see happening, right? So Irish are roughly like a touchdown favorite, maybe like 6.5, I think, is the current line. My number is a little closer than that, as you can tell. But coming off that disappointing 27-24 loss, sitting 0-1, you're desperate to kind of avoid early season collapse. This is a proud program that made a deep playoff run last year, or into the CFP. I think they beat Georgia, right? Funny how it feels so long ago, but um, you know, who's the quarterback? Carr had kind of an up and down debut versus Miami, flashes of brilliance, but like also kind of looked young at times. Whereas you have Texas A&M entering 2-0 and just like oozing confidence, right? Oozing confidence under second year of Mike Elko. They've rolled through 2 lesser opponents, although, defensively, some things to tighten up. I've talked about that on past episodes, like some run fits and things like that versus UTSA and Utah State. But that offense looks completely reinvigorated, completely revitalized. Like, they're averaging like 40-something points. They're a top 30 offense nationally. You've got Marcel Reed, who is just coming on, like 500 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, no ints. Leads the team in rushing too, I think, maybe. He counted for 4 total TDs last week. Like, this is a program that has kind of always been around that 8-4 ceiling, looking to crack through, looking to break through. This is a road win that helps you do that. If Texas A&M wins this, I've got a separate model that I'm not going to show on screen here that kind of predicts out for the full season. But they're going to be favored versus Auburn, favored versus Florida, favored versus Mississippi State, favored versus South Carolina. Let's see here. Favored against Arkansas. They might be favored against LSU. They might be favored. Yeah, they'll be favored against Missouri. Texas, they won't be. No, LSU, they probably won't be. LSU and Texas. But you're going to be favored in like almost all of your remaining games on the schedule. So this sets Texas A&M up very well. That is a very balanced and efficient offense. They're doing a good job of spreading the ball around. Key area third downs. Aggies have been good at staying ahead of the chains. Both of these teams are very, very good in red zone scoring. So neither one of these teams want to be facing the other in like third and goal in the red zone. Both of these teams are very, very good. So defensively, just some things to keep an eye on there. When Notre Dame has the ball, I'm going to bet on that potentially underrated Texas A&M defense. Again, they've got a few things to tighten up, but I like A&M's defense on the road here against like a less experienced quarterback to maybe create some havoc, get some disruptive plays. The pressure and havoc rate favors Notre Dame a little bit, but Texas A&M just needs to be opportunistic, right? I think like what is it? the tight end. I'm blanking on, is it Raridon or something? Like, I think that's going to be their safety blanket at Notre Dame. So A&M, just keep him covered. Be opportunistic with the turnover, and your discipline could absolutely swing this game if they tighten some stuff up. So this game has a bit of a prove it feel for both programs. I mean, will the real Notre Dame please stand up, right? Was that week 1 loss just an aberration, or was it true weakness? Is Texas A&M's offensive explosiveness for real, or is it just inflated by some weak early competition? Our model is leaning Notre Dame by about a field goal. The safe bet is on the home team usually. But dude, I like Texas A&M. I like Texas A&M on the road. I don't know what it is. I like Texas A&M on the road, especially if the explosives come through. Expect maybe a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, but like a late A&M drive or a late field goal. Give me like A&M 30, Notre Dame 24. Like 2 field goals, a single touchdown. Don't count out the Aggies. I like the potential in this one. I know it's a tall order in South Bend, but it's going to be fantastic to watch. SEC speed, kind of Midwest power. Grab your popcorn, and we're going to keep plugging along. Not as much to say on this one. We got Wisconsin coming to Tuscaloosa. This is a noon kick, I think. Wisconsin, listen, defensively has looked pretty good through their first 2 games, but it was against Miami, Ohio, and MTSU. So don't read too much into it. I like Alabama at home, obviously, here. The model does as well. It's got Alabama by almost 2 touchdowns, and with a 6 to 7 point margin for error. Alabama could easily win by 3 scores. We could see like a 42 to 20 game or something like that here. Rare to see Alabama ranked as low as 19th. But, after that week 1 stumble, I thought they recovered well against Louisiana Monroe. Alabama went up to Madison last year and thumped Wisconsin 42-10 on the road. So, Bama is a 20-point favorite. I totally see it. I like them at home. I mean, damn near a 90% win probability for the Tide. This is a big mismatch on paper. Now, it is Big Ten competition, so I expect Alabama to kind of regain some national grace here, as long as they take care of business and thump them on the road, right? Alabama's in a bounce back, which Bama shows up, probably the focused one, okay? Probably the focused one. I think Ty Simpson looked a lot better. Offense was clicking. Defensively, there's so much talent. There's no excuse. I would look for Alabama's defense to hold Wisconsin to under 20 points for sure, right? But Wisconsin does have a good defense. Like, they put up some sneaky good numbers. They're allowing under 200 yards a game. But again, to like subpar competition, right? Lower FBS competition. Alabama's defense is where it's at for me. They got embarrassed a little bit by FSU, but all the talent in the world to kind of show up and show out against Wisconsin. I think some X factors for me, like discipline and special teams. We haven't seen the same discipline from Alabama as we have under the Saban years. I think Wisconsin has been like extremely disciplined. If Wisconsin can play really, really clean, and maybe Bama shoots itself in the foot with some penalties, Wisconsin could get some opportunities, but my expectations for that are very, very tempered. My prediction here is that Wisconsin will come in pretty confident off of their first 2 weeks, and I expect their defense to really try to frustrate Ty Simpson and Alabama's offense early. But as we go into halftime, like if Alabama is up by like 10 plus at the half, I think it runs away from Wisconsin in the second half. tied by 2 to 3 scores. That feels about right. Like 34-13, 42-20, somewhere in that range. The Bama's playmakers on defense are going to set up a short field or defensive touchdown that kind of breaks this open, and Ty Simpson will continue to be very, very efficient. Alabama getting back on track here, which is what I expected following that week 1 blunder. Let's move on. I think this one's going to be a runaway. Let's go talk about some Arkansas at Ole Miss. Now, Arkansas not ranked. Ole Miss sitting at 17, I think. Yeah. Arkansas's got an explosive offense, man. They really do. Like Taylen Green looks lights out good again. I mean, obviously against some like sloppy competition, right? Like Arkansas State and whoever they played in week 1. But as Lane Kiffin would say, get the popcorn ready. This game, to me, has shootout written all over it. Look at these edges on the model. So positive edges typically favor the home team. My model predicts for the home team, and mine has Ole Miss by 5 to 6. Vegas has Ole Miss minus 6.5, right? So like my model's right in line with what Vegas thinks, a 1-score game. Look at how split these edges are between Ole Miss and Arkansas. Usually you do not see that. So that is really interesting to me. Really, really interesting to me. Two quarterbacks, 2 offenses who can put up points. Like Arkansas maybe like leading, like one of the top scoring offenses through 2 weeks, right? And my model, because it's in Oxford, likes Ole Miss. They're giving Ole Miss like that 70+ win % probability. But Arkansas, man, this is a tough one. Arkansas absolutely has the firepower to make this an upset if things break right. Both of these teams can light up the scoreboard. Ole Miss is averaging like 46.5 points, 575 yards a game. Arkansas is averaging like 54 points, close to 600 yards per game. Like we're talking video game numbers between these two offenses here. So to me, it's like, is a defense going to show up in this game, or is it going to be like that? By the way, we got more people tuning in. Thank you for being here with me. We've covered Tennessee, Georgia. We just covered Wisconsin at Alabama. We covered Texas A&M at Notre Dame. So as soon as this episode posts, go back and check out those previews if you're wanting to catch those. And while y'all are here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all tuning in on this Wednesday morning. About halfway through here, got a couple more games to get through. So Austin Simmons for Ole Miss. He's had some freshman moments, like 3 touchdowns, but I think a handful of interceptions. Couple came against Kentucky, right? He's got a rocket arm. He's not afraid to push the ball downfield, but sometimes that's going to lead to those turnovers. But Kiffin is known for that QB-friendly system. He's known to trust his QB to make some big throws. So I like Ole Miss and the receivers. I want to see them stay balanced with the attack, though, not just putting the ball through the air. But I think that's going to be somewhat dependent on what Taylen Green in Arkansas does. So Taylen Green comes in with a lot of experience, 6'6", dual threat, cannon of an arm. He's got legitimate wheels. Through 2 games, his numbers are off the charts. We already talked about him, right? He broke off like 151 rushing yards last week against Arkansas State, including like a long TD run of 75. So he's got some speed. He's a legit playmaker, and he's got a great supporting cast around him. I think some of those guys like Washington and Blake, like with a couple of touchdowns and a couple 100 yards, man, that's going to be exciting to watch. Arkansas's run game versus the Ole Miss run defense. Ole Miss does have a good defensive front. They can pressure the quarterback and cause some havoc, but with Green's mobility, I'm just not sure how effective that's going to prove. Arkansas is very, very capable of exploiting that. I mean, Kentucky ran on Ole Miss a little bit, slowed the game down. Wouldn't expect this to go to follow that same script. But with Green's running ability, out of QB draws and some scrambles, can really gash a defense. So if Arkansas can consistently run for like 5-6 yards on first down, I think they're going to be able to keep the Rebels off balance all night. On the flip side of that, if Ole Miss kind of shores up the run D, forces Arkansas into passing, especially in like early downs, Ole Miss might have the edge because Ole Miss's pass defense has been very, very good, sneakily good. Just 128 passing yards per game, which is like top 20 in FBS. Their secondary has experience, right? DeMarco Williams. They've been ball hawking. No interceptions yet, I don't think, but they've defended a lot of passes well. They have not faced a quarterback as athletic as Green yet, though. So I expect Arkansas to use some play action. They'll use Green's mobility, try to buy time, hit some deep shots because they are hitting downfield. So, I mean, what swings the momentum in this one? I think turnovers and mistakes. If both teams start just pushing the ball downfield, it's going to be INTs. It's going to be pass breakups, tackles for loss. Like, that's the big one. Penalties, maybe. Ole Miss has been a little bit undisciplined. Arkansas has been a little bit more disciplined. Red zone defense, especially against the passing game. Both defenses have actually been really good in the red zone, which could be significant if there are some long drives. So even if both teams rack up yards, which defense can hold to a field goal, which defense can bend, not break, get a key fourth down stop in the red zone, that may decide the winner. A lot of intangibles here, but this one's a tough call. It could be a one-score game either way. Turnovers will play a role. Vegas likes Ole Miss in that like touchdown range. Over-under is like 62, which like I almost want to take the over here, But I'll say Ole Miss wins this one at home in a thriller, like a 41-38 type of game, Expect big momentum swings, though. We could see like 2-score streaks going either way all the way through the fourth quarter. Maybe Austin Simmons, despite a mistake or two, leads a late touchdown drive to give the Rebels the go-ahead. Or Ole Miss's defense just kind of like shows up and shows out in the fourth quarter. But if any underdog is primed to upset this week, I think it's Arkansas. I think it's Arkansas. Taylen Green is good enough. That offense is explosive enough. This could be an SEC After Dark special with just a highlight reel on ESPN the next morning. All right. So I technically have two more to talk about. This is going to be the last marquee. And I've posted this on Twitter already. It got a lot of people reacting and retweeting. And I actually have this model going two ways. So if you're watching on screen, take in the number now, right? It's showing Vanderbilt with an 80% probability to go on the road and win by about 8 points. Okay. I have another run of this model. I'm going to show it to you now. It is virtually the exact opposite. South Carolina with an 80% win probability at home with a win margin of about 8 points. That is another fancy way of saying this is going to be a fight. This is going to be a game. I could see both of these scenarios playing out. Now, because I shared this one first, this was my first run of the model, Vanderbilt winning. I feel like it would be a cop-out for me to back out and say, well, actually, it could be the exact opposite. South Carolina could win this. I'm going to stick with it. This was the first run of the model. I don't feel good about it. I said that on Twitter. Something about this feels really wrong. But I'm going to go with what the numbers say. Yes, South Carolina's ranked. Yes, they're undefeated. Vanderbilt's undefeated. They were dreaming of an upset in this game. This game might not have been circled by many in the preseason, but it is all of a sudden intriguing in week 3, is it not? South Carolina opens SEC play at home, but you got Vanderbilt coming in here with nothing but swagger and confidence behind Diego Pavia. Vegas likes South Carolina by 5.5. My model likes Vanderbilt, and my model likes Vanderbilt against a lot of teams in the SEC this year. And I said it in my preseason episode, Vanderbilt's gonna get somebody. I've said this on Twitter too. Vanderbilt's gonna get somebody this year. They're gonna get somebody again. It's probably not gonna be Alabama again in Tuscaloosa, but Vanderbilt's gonna get somebody again. And it could be South Carolina this Saturday at 7:45 in Williams-Brice Stadium. So here's what to know. So South Carolina had a very strong finish to 2024. Dow Loggins, the OC, left. He's now at, App State, I think. And they have a new OC. So offensively, South Carolina has gotten off to maybe a slower start, a more sluggish start. We've seen that in their games this year. But their defense is really good. They're giving up just like 10.5 points a game. It's really a stout run defense, really good linebacker play. They're great on special teams, and they're +3 in turnover margin, which is like top 15 nationally, right? They've needed those because the offense has been inconsistent at sustaining drives. They're only converting right now about 30% on third down, which explains some of those low yardage totals and the time of possession issues. So they sort of been living off the big plays when Lenore Sellers can hit the big plays. Lenore Sellers has all the talent in the world. He's got all the tools, big arm, he's super mobile, and he's really efficient. About a 61% completion rating. But they haven't asked him to air it out too much, but you just haven't seen like the big numbers come through. They've got a big time receiver, Nick Harbor. Like he's tall, like, it's like 6'5", ridiculously athletic, but just not super involved. I mean, he had the one, like the 75-yard bomb, I think. But overall, like, long story short, the offense has been slow to get going. Vandy, on the other hand, is off to a really hot start. They had a win over FCS Charleston Southern, but they did have a road win in a common opponent with South Carolina in Vatech. Vandy went on the road and won that game 44-20 at Vatech. So Vandy's got some explosives. Diego Pavia is good for like 468, 5 touchdowns, an interception. He really plays fearless, man. He'll improvise. He'll throw deep. He brings a swagger to that offense that just Vanderbilt has not had. And we saw it last year, okay? Vandy's offense is just putting up really good numbers, and I think that's what's swinging the model through these early weeks. Once we get into like week 5, 6, 7, you'll see some of these numbers temper a little bit. But defensively, like, I think this is going to be your biggest surprise. They're only giving up like less than a couple hundred yards per game, which is really, really good. They held Virginia Tech to around 300. They've been stout against the run. They have a pretty good secondary. D-line is anchored by some veterans, Christian James. They've generated a decent pass rush so far. So if you recall last year, Vanderbilt's defense was a liability, especially against the pass. But they seem to be improved there. So they'll be facing a South Carolina offense that really hasn't found its rhythm in the passing game yet. So this could be much more of a matchup than it has been in years past. So to me, it's about early momentum. South Carolina needs to start fast, not let Vanderbilt hang around, and believe you got him at home, hit him in the mouth early. Willie B will be rocking at kickoff. Gamecocks can ride that energy to an early touchdown or two, make Vanderbilt one-dimensional. However, if Vanderbilt scores first, if they come out fast, if they get an early turnover, they get that crowd silent, that's not a good position to be in if you're South Carolina. The turnover battle. South Carolina thrives at forcing turnovers, right? They're +3 in that margin. Vanderbilt's +1, which is pretty good. But this is where the Gamecocks have the edge. If the Gamecocks can snag an interception or strip sack Pavia, swing the game that way, his improvisational playmaking style can occasionally lead to some risky throws. So can South Carolina's secondary expect that or anticipate that? Sellers is young, but talented. He has yet to throw a pick. Can Vandy confuse him a little bit into his first interception? Any opportunistic play on both sides by those defenses will be key, especially if it provides a short field opportunity. So here's my prediction. This is a classic case of closer than many think. Despite Vanderbilt having to go on the road here, they are improved. They are confident. While South Carolina, though highly ranked, in my opinion, sorry, Gamecocks fans, might be a little bit overrated offensively at this point. Just is what it is. Could be a lower scoring game more of a defensive tussle than some of the other matchups. South Carolina's defense in front of that home crowd will probably be the best unit on the field, in my opinion, and should carry the day. But Vanderbilt's offense on that side of the ball will be their best unit. Pavia's dual threat ability. Don't be surprised if he cracks a big run or two. But I think Gamecocks defense can generate enough negative plays that kind of help keep Vandy behind the chains. But I just like the explosives. I like the model likes Vanderbilt on the road here. I don't picking a score for this one honestly is tough. I don't think it's going to be 8 points. I mean, it could be. Let me say this. If the game is an 8-point margin, I think it's South Carolina winning. I think it's like South Carolina 28-21 or like 30-21. If it's closer than that, I think it's Vanderbilt winning something dumb like 28-27 or like a 27-24 game. I just can't get over why my model is this high on Vanderbilt in this game. Like I said, I've run it multiple times. I showed you the flip side predictor. So, flip a coin if you want to, but I'm rolling with the numbers you see on screen. I think this is going to be a fight. I think a lot of people in the SEC aren't prepared or expected, and this would be a statement for Vanderbilt early in the season. Even a close loss would signal progress. But I think what the model is seeing here is those slow starts for South Carolina, even at home. And I think it sees Vanderbilt capitalizing on those slow starts. So look out. Look out. We got a Cinderella story in the making in Columbia, South Carolina. Let me know what you think in the comments. By the way, more of you tuning in here. Appreciate it. We're almost done. About to touch on just a few games. We already covered Tennessee, Georgia, Notre Dame hosting Texas A&M, Wisconsin at Alabama, Arkansas at Ole Miss. Just wrapping up Vanderbilt, South Carolina. We're going to touch on one more. All right, one more. And that is Florida heading to LSU. Now, I'm not going to deep dive this one. You see the model on screen. I know it says LSU +2. Vegas has LSU favored by a touchdown. All I'm going to say is this could get ugly for Florida, man. After last week, this could get ugly for Florida. My model obviously likes LSU at home. It is a classic SEC rivalry, but the way Florida struggled, and a lot of it's coaching, man. That team has talent. Billy Napier is just not the dude. I'm not going to go into that. But I think LSU's defense is at home. They're going to be too good. They're going to be too good for Florida. So I'll take LSU by at least the touchdown, man. I don't see Florida surprising in this one. If anybody wants to take the opposite side of that, you're braver than me. But with a 70+% chance to win, we have a high probability of hitting on this one. So LSU at home, I take LSU more than by the point margin you're seeing here on screen, the 2.8. I take LSU by at least 6.5, possibly 7. I could see it being like a 30-17 or something like that type of game. Guys, we're going to do quick hits and then close this episode out. Before I do that, since I got a few of you tuning in, I do this completely for free. I got a full-time job. I do this totally for fun. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I do sling a few t-shirts and stuff on my store, and I got a donate QR code up there. So if you want, check out my merch. I got a couple different lineups, my SEC Pride, which is my original collection, and then my Saturdays collection, which I'm featuring the Texas one on here. Just I love the color scheme, but I've got one for everybody on there: a t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt, and hoodies. The Saturdays merch, bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. Bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. I'll scroll that down here at the bottom too. Check out all the merch, buy some t-shirts. They make great gifts. It is almost bonfire season. So check out all of that stuff there. You can follow the QR code. The link will also be in the description. And I'm showing off my Big Doinks. Big Doink Energy. Y'all show your love for Big Doinks with the Big Doink Energy tea. All right, we'll get that off screen. I know, not everybody wants to see that. Let's just kind of touch on some of the other games. So South Alabama at Auburn. Obviously, Tigers are heavy favorites in that one. Auburn's got an improved run game, improved defense. Expect them to fully control that one. You got ULL at Missouri. Mizzou has now cracked the rankings. They're hosting the Raging Cajuns. They're going to keep Mizzou rolling. Mizzou's going to keep rolling. As long as they're not looking ahead, they're going to cruise through this game pretty easily. Eastern Michigan at Kentucky. They're bouncing back after that loss to Ole Miss. But this shouldn't be a challenge for Kentucky. This will be a get-right game for them. I'm not high on Kentucky this season at all, but with Eastern Michigan, again, heavy favorites in that game, 23, 24-point favorites. They'll have no issues. Alcorn State at Mississippi State. Bulldogs will get a breather here after that big-time home upset of Arizona State. Expect them to just name their score against Alcorn State here. That'll be a night game. Oklahoma at Temple, weird road game here. Sooners are number 13, looking really good. I think they're one of the better teams in the SEC this year. But they go to Philly. This is interesting. So obviously they're heavy favorites. They should roll over Temple. Temple's 2-0, but Oklahoma's 3-score favorites in this one, 21 or 22-point favorites. So they'll get a nice vacation there in Philadelphia against Temple and come back home and look ahead to week 4. And finally got UTEP at Texas, number 7 Texas, in Austin. So, Longhorns, again, tune-up game. I think they need to figure out what's going on with Arch Manning in that shoulder, though. Everybody's been talking about it. I noticed it when I was recapping on Sunday that his throwing motion seemed to be wincing at his throwing shoulder. So maybe get that dude some rest before you get into the Red River rivalry and some other tougher games on the slate. Folks, what do you think? Drop your scores. Let me know in the comments. Tennessee hosting Georgia. Arkansas at Ole Miss. Obviously, I'm picking the Vols at home. I'm picking Ole Miss at home. I'm picking A&M on the road at Notre Dame. Let me know what your picks are. Drop your score predictions in the comments. Would love to hear it. Appreciate so many of y'all tuning in this morning. Full slate of SEC football on deck. We're going to close it out here. Ranked showdown, storied rivalry. Got everything. By the end of Saturday, we're going to have a much clearer picture of which teams are for real in 2025. Enjoy the games. We'll be back on Sunday to recap all the highs, all the lows, all the head scratchers. Until then, thanks for listening to the SEC Recap Podcast. It just means more, especially this time of year. We'll catch you guys on the next one.